Finally get the job you've been wanting for a really, really long time. Or maybe it's not even that deep. Maybe it's just a job you like. Or it could even be worse. It could be a job that you just need. You just need to pay the bills. You need it for a certain certificate, yada, yada, yada. Right? Point is, you get the job. You get a job, a pretty decent job, right? A few months down the line, you start to notice that, oh, you're not sleeping as well. You have very little desire to hang out with your friends or your loved ones. You're feeling overwhelmed and tired all of the time, so you procrastinate a lot of your work. And then you start feeling disillusioned, like, oof, this job is not even all that after all. I'm not really doing anything here. This doesn't align with my purpose, etc, etc. If this is you, chances are that you are. Hey, what's up? Welcome to my channel. I'm Orolua Onu. I talk about mental health, emotional healing, and my Christian journey. If this is your first time here, welcome, welcome, welcome. You are welcome in the name of. Grab a seat, get a warm, what's it called? Get a warm cup of coffee, get some muffins, grab a magazine, feel at home, but make sure that you give this video a thumbs up and you subscribe while you're at it, right? I'm so thankful that you're here. Thank you so much. If you are a returning subscriber, yeah! Welcome back to my channel. It's been one whole week of us not, seeing each other. How are you? How are you doing? So do you know what April is? Besides the month of my birth. April is stress awareness month, right? So I figured I'd talk a little bit about burnout today. It's pretty real, extremely common, probably more common than you might know. And it can have very devastating effects if it is allowed to linger for a really long time. So I'm going to be talking about very few of its symptoms and focus on talking about how to recover from it if you are currently burnt out. So what is burnout? Burnout is basically exhaustion when you're experiencing chronic stress, and for many people it's job related. It's related to the work they do every day, right? Their source of income. For some people it can be about their academic schedule, schoolwork. For some people it might be as a result of crisis, tumultuous. Is that the correct word? Tumultuous? It can be as a result of very crisis ridden relationship. But for a lot of people it is job related. It is related to the work they do. It is not just a buzzword. It's not just a fancy word or a word that lazy people use. It's actually a real phenomenon that a lot of people experience, and it can be pretty subtle. It can be very subtle. So if it is not identified early, if it is not addressed early, it can linger for a really long time and then eventually cause a host of other devastating effects like depression. So what are some of the signs that you might be burnt out? Well, you might be procrastinating a lot. You might be pushing a lot of your tasks and your activities to a much later date, because right now you're very tired, you're very stressed, you're very overwhelmed. You'd much rather do everything later. You might also be having sleeping troubles. You might also be having sleep problems. You might be having insomnia. You might be taking self-medications like sleeping pills, off-the-counter sleeping pills, as a result, because you feel like, oh, that's what you need to sleep. You might be drinking excessively and smoking cigarettes because you think that's how you can distress, which is extremely unhealthy, I must mention at this point, right? Then you might be stress eating a lot as well, drinking excessive amounts of coffee in the morning because you think you need that, or at any time of the day because you think you need that extra surge of energy, that extra boost to your energy. You might be very cranky, very irritable, because obviously if you're not sleeping well, you might be very cranky, very touchy, very irritable. You might be isolating yourself from your loved ones, perhaps because you are tired all of the time, right? Then you might also be having a general sense of dissatisfaction about the work you're doing. Well, the first thing is to find out exactly what is stressing you out and whether or not it's something you caused or something that is as a result of a system that you are in. So let me give you an example. If it is as a result of your schedule, for example, if you are stressed out because of your schedule, it's always so tight, always so busy, and you were the one that fixed the appointment, all of that, that is something that you can take responsibility for. But if it is as a result of your job and your boss constantly give you certain tasks to do, certain projects, that may be more as a result of the system that you're in rather than just you. So that's what I mean when I say, is it as a result of you or as a result of, you know, a whole system that you are in? It's important for you to find out, because you cannot deal with something that you don't know, right? You cannot attack an enemy that you cannot see. Next thing is to lay your cards on the table and check out your options. What exactly are your options? I like to be very practical, because it's not everybody that can just walk away from a job. Some people actually need their jobs in a particular season. So if your job is the kind of job where you can't live right now, you actually need it, or you need the money, or whatever the case, what can you do? Examine what your real options are. Can you talk to your immediate boss or your immediate manager, you know, somebody that you probably have a decent, maybe not too cordial, but a pretty decent relationship with, and tell them exactly how you feel in a professional / polite way, and listen to what they have to say, if they can, you know, reduce your workload a little bit, right? If it is as a result of your schedule that is always so jam-packed, can you loosen it up a bit? Are there some days that are not as tight? Can you put some of the things that are stressing you out on those days that are a bit free? You might even have to sacrifice 1 or 2 weekends, so that Monday or Tuesday is not as choked up as it usually is. So lay your cards on the table. What can you do, practically speaking? If your feelings of burnout are caused by, you know, crisis in your relationship with your partner, can you guys see a therapist? Can you guys see a couples therapist? You know, lay your cards on the table and figure out exactly what you can do, practically speaking. Then talk to somebody that you know that has worked the part you're currently working. Chances are that they probably experienced burnout at some point or the other. They just might have not called it that, depending on their age. So if you are burnt out because of your job, for example, do you know anybody that has done the role you are currently assigned? Can you talk to them, ask them how they survived? You know, make sure that you take only the healthy coping strategies. If a person mentions a coping strategy that wasn't particularly healthy, you might want to just do away with that, right? If you're burnt out because of a particular season you're in, say parenting a newborn, or raising a toddler or something like that, or raising 5 toddlers or 3 toddlers, you know what I'm saying? Are there people that you know have walked that part, or have gone through that part, or have worked that season, that you can talk to and find out exactly how they coped, right? You'll be surprised how many people actually experience what you're experiencing, and would have very, very helpful tips for you. Just make sure that there are people that you actually trust. Then unplug. When you don't have to be online, don't be online. When you don't have to use your phone, don't use your phone. Delegate specific times that you check your emails, if you have that kind of, you know, power to do that, and you don't always have to check your email 24/7, because I know that there are some jobs that require that. But again, if that's something you can talk to somebody, you know, close to you at work that has a senior position about, please do so. So like I said, unplug when you have to. Honestly, when you're with your family, actually be with your family. Don't be tuned out in your mind thinking about work, or the work you know, left on your desk, or you might have even snuck home. You know, spend time with the people you love. When you're actually with them, be with them, and unplug. Then engage in non-work activities more often, especially if your job is something that you have to do, you know, it's compulsory for a particular season. Find ways to incorporate things you're actually passionate about in your life. So if you are busy Monday to Fridays, and you have Saturdays that are not so tight, after sleeping and doing all the things you want to do, can you find time to take art classes if that's what you want, volunteer for a course, you know, things that you really care about? This would also be very handy if you feel like you are doing work that is not so important, that doesn't align with your calling or your purpose. If you find time to do work that you actually care about, that you actually passionate about, it will really go a long way into helping you. Then do the basics, right? Do the basics. What are the basics? Sleep well. You might have to be very strict with your sleep hygiene. You might even have to have accountability partners. Set a fixed time that you go to bed, put off all the lights, you know, stuff like that. If you notice that despite that insomnia is not going, I think you should totally see a professional. It might be a symptom of something more severe, right? But besides that, do the basics. Eat healthy, sleep well, stuff like that. You know, one of the most annoying things about burnout, it can make you feel very powerless. It can make you feel like you are condemned to a life where you don't have options, especially if you're in a season where you have to do a certain job, or you have to do certain exams, or you have to, you know, go through a certain season. If you are sure that you have to do those things, it can feel very frustrating, because like, you don't have options. I know I have felt like that a couple of times, and that can be one of the most annoying things about burnout, because like, you are so stressed but you still have to do this thing. So some of the ways you can take back your power include, why does I sound like my dear? Power. Anyways, power. Hello. Anyways, some of the ways that you can take back your power include prioritizing. What do you have to do now? What can wait? You know, delegating. Who else can help you do this thing? These are things that I have had to learn the hard way. Who else can help you do this thing? Must you do it yourself? If it's something you absolutely have to do yourself, can you put it, you know, back to the scheduling? Can you put it at a time that works for you in a healthy way? You know, take back your power. Realize that you have options even when it seems like you don't. You may not be able to do exactly what you want to do right now, which is, you know, quit the job, stop the process, etc. But there's stuff that you actually can do. You are not powerless. Then boundaries, the popularly used word in this generation, boundaries. No, but for real though, boundaries are very important if you're going to recover from burnout. A lot of the reasons why some of us get burnt out is because we say yes to everything, or almost everything, or almost everyone. You know, we think we can help everybody, we think we can do every task, sometimes because we're trying to impress somebody. But if you know that you are beginning to get burnt out, or you've been burnt out for a while, then you need to start practicing to say no. Just make sure that you're polite about it, because you don't need to be mean or rude just because you're telling somebody no, right? So just make sure that you practice saying no. You can use a mirror, stand in front of your mirror and just saying no. I'm joking, but you get my point. Practice saying no. Practice with your friend, practice with your loved one, practice with scripts, go back and forth, all of that. But just practice saying no, so that when the situations that make you quiver show up, you would be bold enough to actually say no. But make sure again that you are being polite while you are at it. Then be honest with yourself. Tell yourself the truth. When enough is enough, tell yourself enough is enough. If it is a job, I keep using job because that's the most common reason why people feel burnt out. If it is a job that is stressing you out, and you realize that in this season you can afford to not do this job, maybe get another job or do another thing, right? By all means, take the option of moving if it is a job you can afford to leave, right? Because if burnout is beginning to affect your functionality, affect your relationships, all of that, is a very, very terrible place to be. Like I said, it can even lead to depression and a host of other things. So please, if you have other options, and realistically speaking, after looking at all the cards on the table, like I mentioned earlier, you realize that this is something that you don't 100% have to do, or it's taking up all the time you have to spend with your family, with your loved ones, all of that, just because you want to make a certain amount of money. I think you should make the bold decision and move to a much healthier option. You'll be very surprised what even lies in the healthier option. Things might even turn around and it might become the absolute best. But just tell yourself the truth. When enough is enough, look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself enough is enough, and move. But be reasonable with your decision. So have you ever been burnt out? Have you ever been stressed out so much you felt like you were losing your mind? Please let me know in the comments, and let me know how you dealt with it, how you moved on from that state that you were in. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really hope that this video has helped you in some way. Please don't forget to like, to share, to comment, you know, tell me your burnout stories and how you moved on, and to subscribe. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.